Phil Spencer said that Xbox cannot out-console PlayStation. But what does it really mean? Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I would like to talk about Xbox, PlayStation and Phil Spencer's latest comments on Xbox versus PlayStation sale, I guess, or competition. Now, obviously Phil Spencer said something very interesting during the latest Xcast podcast. He basically said that he doesn't believe that Xbox can out-console PlayStation. And I think some people are taking this out of context a little bit. I mean, I've heard quite a lot of different takes on what Phil Spencer said, and obviously opinions goes from one extreme to the other. Some people say that doesn't mean anything, nothing will change, they are still in the console market, I mean Xbox, while the other group says that, oh, Xbox is done, Phil Spencer is giving up on consoles, etc, etc. But as everything in life, we need to find that sweet spot somewhere in the middle, because that's where the truth usually lies, right? So I think that's the case with Phil Spencer and Xbox right now as well. So Xbox is not giving up on consoles. Actually, they are far from it. But also they don't want to compete on with PlayStation or Nintendo only in console space, right? And that's been known for almost a decade now. I'm not even joking now, right? And so first off, let's talk about that, I guess, wider context, right? So they were talking about, all the bad news recently, and, PlayStation selling better now and stuff, right? And Phil Spencer said actually a couple of things, and I think maybe the aggregate of all the things he said made people think one way or the other. And so he said one thing. First off, he said that Xbox cannot out-console PlayStation. He said that with Xbox One, Xbox lost the worst console generation to lose. And he basically said that was the generation where pretty much everyone went digital, or more people went digital. Now people have got their libraries of games, so they will stay on their platform of choice, if you know on what I mean. So actually, PlayStation for the most part, right? I mean, that's what he said. He also mentioned that, something very controversial, and actually I do and I don't agree with him when it comes to that particular sentence. So he said that even if Starfield got 11 out of 10, that's not really going to change much when it comes to the whole, I guess, sales narrative and stuff. So that's not really going to change much. So so people listening to that, they were like, oh, so what is he saying? Is he saying that he's giving up? He's not going to be even trying to compete with PlayStation, that kind of stuff? He's not actually he's saying that good games don't matter. He did not say that, right? And that's the problem. People are putting their own words in his mouth, basically. He said what he said, so Xbox will not out-console PlayStation, meaning that Xbox knows that it's really difficult or hardly possible to outsell PlayStation in terms of consoles. That's why he said out-console PlayStation, right? So that's one point. And I actually agree. And I don't think Xbox wants to compete with PlayStation in console sales per se. That doesn't mean that they don't want to sell Xbox anymore, because it's actually a huge chunk of Xbox revenue comes from consoles. Not necessarily consoles sale per se, but all the stuff that you buy via console later, right? So that's a lot of money still for Xbox. So they're not giving up. And the fact that they offered two consoles this generation just shows their commitment to console space too. So that's one thing. Another thing, he said that later that Starfield, even if it got 11 out of 10, even if that got perfect reviews, that probably wouldn't change the whole Xbox versus PlayStation sale narrative. So he doesn't say that, he doesn't really want Starfield to be great, or he doesn't say that games don't matter at all. He's just saying that even one or two or how many games, good games, won't change necessarily the fact that PlayStation will most probably still sell better than Xbox, because PlayStation does all these third-party deals and everything. And I think this is one of the actually reasons why, because PlayStation has a very strong brand. Developers, publishers are actually more willing to work with PlayStation right now when it comes to these deals and everything. And if PlayStation does all these third-party deals, that means that it's actually, they don't even have to produce as much of their own content, because they've got all these exclusive content from third party, right? I mean, if you look at okay, so I know that some actually uses this kind of fanboy narrative a lot on Twitter, but it is a little bit true. I mean, when it comes to first party this year, there's only Spider-Man. There's nothing else first party from Sony coming to PlayStation. I mean, that doesn't mean that there won't be any other exclusive games, but these other exclusive games are from third party. Forspoken was a Square Enix game. Final Fantasy, Square Enix game. It's actually funny because people were laughing that Bethesda was carrying Xbox last year, and I guess this year too. But looks like that's going to be the case with Square Enix and Sony. So Square Enix is going to be carrying PlayStation on their shoulder, I guess. But either way, there's obviously other third-party deals as well. So, Sony does all these deals, and for Xbox is probably they would probably have to pay double to convince developers to actually make deals with Xbox right now, because Sony is a leading platform. So I understand what Phil Spencer is trying to say, that it's really difficult to reasonably compete with PlayStation when it comes to console space, because they are such a huge brand that they would have to invest a lot of money probably just to level things up a little bit, and that may not be a wise business decision. So that's another thing, right? And so he's not saying that Starfield is not going to be good, or they don't think that Xbox needs good games. That's not really what he said. So genuinely speaking, I think that a lot of stuff got actually, I guess, taken out of context a little bit, because Xbox is not really going anywhere. They are still investing a lot of money. And by the way, I think that's why Microsoft thinks that Activision Blizzard King deal would be a huge thing for Xbox, because, I mean, not as a console, but as a platform, because not only they would get Call of Duty, so that would actually bring quite a lot of people to Xbox, that's for sure. That doesn't mean that people would start selling PlayStations, right? But when it comes to casual gamers, quite a lot of them would probably move to Xbox. Another thing is that they would have King, so mobile publisher, so they want to have a foothold in mobile market. And obviously the PC space, because Blizzard is actually primarily a PC developer, so that's people talk about Xbox, but if you think about Microsoft, they are PC company, if you know what I mean. So PC market is very important for them. So having World of Warcraft, Diablo, these are, Diablo is a multi-platform game now, but originally that was a PC game too. So Blizzard has a very PC roots, if you know what I mean. So I'm not saying that they just want to focus on PC, because obviously that's not the case, but this is the thing. The Microsoft strategy is not to focus only on console, right? Like PlayStation does, and they want to offer all their games on Xbox. You can buy them, Game Pass. You can, subscribe to the service and play these games, or via cloud or PC or any other like a streaming kind of device, right? So that makes sense, and that's the new strategy for Xbox. Phil Spencer is just saying that we don't really want to do business like PlayStation does, right? Because I think he just got frustrated with the fact that people have been banging about how PlayStation 5 does well right now. And hey, kudos to PlayStation and Sony. They are breaking records, sales records right now with PlayStation. So hey, they are doing fantastic job in a console space. So I'm just saying that Phil Spencer understands that, especially right now, where Xbox had a pretty bad a year and a half now, because except Age of Empires and Hi-Fi Rush, Xbox hasn't really delivered anything major. Yes, they had Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop, but these were not Xbox only games, if you know what I mean. They were on PlayStation. They got that game a year later, so it doesn't have the same weight, if you know what I mean, right? So I think their focus will stay PC, Game Pass, Xbox, and like he said, I think before he made all these comments, he basically said that they think that Xbox is very important to them. I'm actually planning a video about the future of Xbox as a console under Microsoft moving forward. So that's probably going to be up tomorrow. So they are focusing more on Xbox as an ecosystem rather than Xbox as a console. And I know that some people don't like it, but this is nothing new, guys. This is something that Phil Spencer has been saying since 2016-17. So that's not a new thing, and I understand that PlayStation dudes will not understand it because PlayStation does the business differently, and I get it. Different people have different opinions, different likes, like different things, if you know what I mean. And I get it. Me personally, for example, I actually really like what Xbox does with all the accessibility things. I'm talking about like I can access all my games, Xbox games, PlayStation games on Xbox on Xbox. Did I say PlayStation? No, PC and Xbox games. So I can access all these games on Xbox app on PC or Xbox. Everything is interconnected. I can start playing game on Xbox, then move to PC. No problem there. And it's a different way of doing business. It's just like Nintendo. Nintendo have been trying to keep that, standard console kind of market for a while, but they failed with GameCube because GameCube didn't really sell well. Wii was actually a huge success, but then Wii U failed, even more miserably than GameCube. And then they just decided to do Switch, and they are offering different type of games too, but also different type of kind of entertainment, if you know what I mean. And Xbox is trying to be different too. There's nothing wrong with it. He's just so basically when I hear Phil Spencer saying all these things, I'm reading, okay, we just want to be different. We tried to compete with PlayStation. We know that it's almost impossible to beat them on that turf, especially now with PlayStation 5 selling great and all these deals and everything. We want to do something different, and they are doing something different. They are doing Game Pass. They are doing all the Xbox PC kind of integration thing, right? Game Pass, xCloud, and yes, games. Games are coming, guys. And I understand that right now it's, Xbox gamers can be a little bit down because there's been quite a lot of bad news lately. But that doesn't mean that only bad news will continue moving forward. Because we are getting Forza Motorsport, which will be most likely great. I mean, Turn 10 is a very good developer. Bethesda with Starfield, I expect at least a good game. Not saying stellar, but who knows? Maybe it will be stellar, pun intended. Hellblade 2, I mean, Ninja Theory did prove that they know how to make good games. Obsidian 2. So I understand that right now it's not really the best period for Xbox, especially after very, very, very dry 2022. But even with Hi-Fi Rush, it came out of nowhere. It was a great game. So why are we all of a sudden saying that every single bloody Xbox game will be shit? That's not really going to be the case. Yes, I'm sure they will make mistakes in the future. Not every single game will be great. Neither does Sony. I mean, are you trying to say that Sony and PlayStation makes only great games? They've got quite a lot of mediocre games, 60 meta kind of games too. Obviously, the difference is that in between these mediocre games, they also offer fantastic games. So that's what Microsoft needs to do better, right? They need to offer way more of these big, very good games. But Hi-Fi Rush shows that even smaller studios like Tango Gameworks can do fantastic job with these games. So listen, that's my take on it, right? I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to be telling you what to think. I mean, you are entitled to your own opinion, but this is how I read it. This is how I see it, and I just think that Xbox needs to step up and speed things up a little bit, because I think the biggest problem with Xbox right now are delays. Because games that were promised to us, a couple of years ago, they are still not here. Starfield, Redfall, and a couple of other games. We were supposed to play these games last year, and they are still not here. I mean, Redfall is here, but what about other games? So everything got delayed. That's why it's so bloody annoying. But it's not like it's the end of the world for Xbox. And investment is there. They've got great studios too, and hopefully they will also improve some of the internal procedures, quality check and stuff. Hopefully that will learn them a lesson, but who knows. But anyway, guys, so that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.